What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. It is September 14th, 2022. This is Fightful Wrestling, our AEW Dynamite post show. As always, we're going to direct you to FightfulSelect.com. That's where you can get a bunch of exclusive news. But we're here right now talking AEW Dynamite. We got Alex Pawlowski. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm looking forward to some really great stuff next week, and so there's some good stuff this week. A lot for me. The stuff that I loved the most by far happened like talking in the first third of the night. I loved the most. But yeah, that you can't say no to that main event. That's for sure.
Moxley versus Bryan Danielson is set for Grand Slam. What a hell of a show that is. My God. Like, just an incredible card that we got going on right there. But guys, leave a thumbs up. Tap that bell for notifications. Subscribe. We would greatly appreciate all of it. Also, donate super chats and humper chats. That's how you get your question or statement read on the air. I see lots of you in the comments asking questions. Getting a super chat in, getting a humper chat in over at humperchats.com is how that's done. We had the Listen Ya Boy, a weekly news show today. Tomorrow, if you're not done with AEW Dynamite, Will Washington has a day after Dynamite. We've also got the Spotlight on Thursdays as well. We've got an Impact post show. So plenty of stuff along the way. They interviewed Joey Janela this past week. He said that he would have made Denise Salcedo look like Petey Williams if she wasn't afraid to do a Canadian destroyer. That's an interview worth checking out. But let's go ahead and get into it. Distry says this is for defending the Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection honor this afternoon against Jimmy Van. Well-deserved money. Good, sir. This compilation rules. I was telling Alex off the air, like, admittedly, those were my favorite games ever. None of them hold a candle to Shredder's Revenge for me anymore. Right. But I want to see them all remade, as you mentioned, Alex.
Right.
Like, I would love to see that.
Give those games over to the team that made Shredder's Revenge and tell them you're remake these.
Yes.
Remake them. Do it.
We got Zach Schimmel says, Chad, I'm going to try to dish out some memberships tonight. May RNG be in your favor. Champs do not need to get pinned. Good show overall tonight. That was my biggest problem about tonight. We had a lot of champs getting pinned. Zach Schimmel passing out YouTube memberships to the point where I had to start posting stuff. So what we've started to do is we were posting like some behind-the-scenes clips, some unaired interviews. Like, for example, a Davey Richards interview that I couldn't run because he was getting tattooed in the middle of it. We're going to have some of those, lots of behind-the-scenes stuff. We got plenty of them. Eloquent says, how did Mox not make the PWI top 10? I don't know their evaluation period. He did miss several months, so that's a little bit understandable. But
it's from this point, so like whatever it is, August to August kind of a thing?
Sure,
and there was a time that he missed a good chunk of that.
But Punk also missed 3 months too then.
Right. But if you're going to tell me it's January to January, like right now, the calendar year of 2022, I don't know anybody who's having a better year than that.
But also Big E missed time.
That's true.
Roman Reigns isn't around half the time.
Yeah, like, I don't honestly
Cody.
Don't know.
Cody missed a bunch.
Listen, for me, there's zero reason why he's not in the top 5, if not higher. But if it's the time period.
Christian says, have you heard any more stories or rumors around Punk versus the EVPs? A little bit. As details are starting to, or I should say this, as time is going on, I'm starting to hear a little bit more detail in things that certain people are saying happened or didn't happen. So I'm learning a little bit more here and there. Nothing enough to run a report on, but I mean, you guys know that if I can, I'll run something. There is an extremely reckless speculation from Penguin Sin that alleges that Punk, Ace, Lucy failed attempt coup of AEW. Ace, Larry on pay-per-view to build sympathy post-fight. Scrum tantrum was to make people believe that Elite could be aggressive. Punk threw the first punch planning to blame and kick out Elite. Didn't plan on Mega seeing it all. That is completely untrue. That much I'll tell you is not true
I just love
at all.
how just the state of the world makes people go, it's gotta be this. And then they go into this crazy diatribe that lists all these things that are all speculative. Listen, there's a lot of things that happen that we don't know about, but I don't think it's that.
Yeah. Well, we've got Matthew. Actually, we got the Mox Sammy match to lead off with.
Yep.
This was a great match to kick off the show. This is the one you want to kick off the show with. It was Sammy going 110 miles an hour and Mox staying right there with him.
Yep.
So I looked at this match and I was like, okay, the promo that Sammy cut wasn't for me when he cut it on that emerged online.
Right.
Why do you care about star ratings? Not outside of wrestling, but inside wrestling. You want to beat people in a couple minutes. Right. So why does your character care about that? But this catered to the Sammy character, the obnoxious but still an amazing performer. And also sports entertainment centric, getting, Ty Conti and Anna Jay involved as well, doing that element of things. There was one particular spot that I loved the most out of this. It was Sammy trying to do the strike trade, but then Moxley just slaps him.
Yeah.
And Sammy's like, no. I thought this was a fantastic match and a great way to continue playing off of sports entertainment versus pro wrestling.
Yeah. I also loved another one where they were doing a strike trade and Sammy hit him and Mox laid down and pretended to go to sleep. Like he laid down, he put his hands like this when he laid on the canvas. Because he's like, you knocked me out with that incredibly tough strike. And he got right back up and punched him some more. So here's the deal. I have grown so weary of Sammy and his antics and his wife's antics and his wife's friends' antics that I just wanted this to be over as soon as possible. I know that's not what everybody would want. I understand legitimately it was a good match, but I still haven't forgiven anybody for not having Miro in the tournament so that Miro and Sammy could have had a rematch of what happened a year ago in the first round. And that would have had a lot more story for me and purpose than Sammy versus Darby. And whoever wins that Miro and Sammy match versus Mox gives Mox a chance to go through. This match was legitimately a very good match, but I wouldn't have minded it if it was just like a really pissed off John Moxley who just murdered Sammy Guevara.
I mean, Nerd Guru says the swash could have been under 10 seconds. No. I mean, it could have been, but also I think like with as much as Sammy has been off TV and all the ups and downs he's been through, he was a guy that people once looked at and said future AEW champion. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that people are necessarily saying that anymore.
Right.
And that could be the case with a bunch of people. People used to say Private Party, future AEW tag champions. Mm-hmm. But as this roster has grown, you've seen a lot of those people that were pegged for that spot, not necessarily being given that same time of day now, whether it be because the roster is, I don't want to say bloated, but more full. You could say bloated because nobody gets on TV anymore. But I definitely think that you have to sort of rebuild Sammy in that sense. And this was a big part of doing that.
Sure. I think that a lot of people who I was one of them who was like Sammy future AEW champion. Then he started doing all the antics and I was like, I don't like watching this guy on television anymore. And I know he's a heel and I'm not supposed to like him.
You're a mark.
I don't enjoy watching any of the stuff that he does. He's very good in the ring, but I still don't there's a way to do a heel stuff. And I want to watch that guy because I think he's really good at what he does. Some of the stuff he does to me just takes me out of what I like about watching wrestling. And that's my own personal thing. And that's,
Big fan of the half-hatch suplex that John Moxley did. They said it was an underhook suplex. There's a difference in that. The half-hatch suplex, you go under the head, under one arm. The underhook suplex, you go double arm. Mm-hmm. Love that. It's a great catch wrestling technique. And then Sammy did a half-hatch ass cheek and just walked around with his butt cheek out for 5 minutes. Yeah. Good for him. If you got it, flaunt it. You know what I mean? But Chi-Town Spurs says, love the opener. There's got to be something better for Anna Jay to be doing than a backup valet. Microcosm of the women's division issues. At this point, this is why I keep saying I wish they would combine TBS and the world title and then add women's tag team titles. Because if you've got the golden ticket right there, Jade can just say, I'm not vacating anything. I'm unifying something because I deserve both of them. Then you can go to the tag team titles because they're doing tag team women's matches every damn week anyway. And not only that, they performed well in the ratings.
Yeah.
They perform well in the ring. So I hope that's, and you can see Ty and Anna involved with that. We also have the MJF promo that followed this. By the way, Mox wins. Again, I thought a good match. Matthew Plus says MJF is a face whether AEW wants him to or not. I mean, yeah, I think he plays off of some of the criticisms that AEW fans have. Because in the same vein, like we just mentioned Private Party and Sammy Guevara, MJF's thing is like, a lot of these old WWE guys are trying to knock me off. I'm the one who's been here. I'm the MVP. Like, I'm the guy. Just because LeBron and Chris Bosh showed up, I'm Dwayne Wade. I made this team. Right. I'm the reason why there's something to build around to begin with. I like that. And it does play off of that a little bit. And he says that he brings up Moxley's disease, the addiction, and says that his brain is much more dangerous. This wasn't like the greatest MJF promo I've ever seen, but they're all good. I think I've seen one that I wasn't like, that I was like, man, this wasn't good. This wasn't it. I thought this was very good, and it accelerates the Moxley MJF thing. And he's like, maybe you should go on that vacation. And by the way, last time we saw each other, I was a pup. I was up here with a podium. I was running a gimmick. I'm not doing that anymore. But yeah.
I loved all of this. I think it's really great that they're doing something. What I think still maintain is so obvious, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's great. That you're setting up the guy who says I am AEW with the guy who says I should be, and because I'm not, I hate AEW.
Yeah,
and that's an awesome story to tell. That's a really great story. It's very simple. It has easy chapters and beats throughout it, so you can get to a point where you have that story. That's also a story that allows us to tell it over the course of a very long time. Like, this is a rivalry that can last all the way until what they call the bidding war of 24. Will MJF stay or will he go? That's part of this whole thing. But there's going to be this rivalry of the guy who is AEW fighting against the guy who hates AEW for that entire time up until that point. It's really great, and I'm looking forward to all of that.
Michael says, do you think it'd be a good way for MJF to get the title next week by cashing in his chip to make the match a triple threat and win? Because I don't see MJF winning the title one-on-one. Well, I mean, regardless, he's going to have to defend the title one-on-one, so I say, why not? MJF's gimmick wasn't necessarily that he was a chicken shit, if you remember. Yeah. It's that he was this asshole and he rarely wrestled, but when he did, he could always back it up. Like, right. He was as good as he thought he was. He wasn't like cowardly. Would he cheat? Yes, he would, but he would also win. Vincent says, have these Mox MJF interactions given away that Mox is winning next week? I don't think so, although Bryan Danielson has lost the big ones an awful lot in AEW. Mm-hmm. And I could see AEW being like, oh no, Mox is going to be our 3-time guy. Like he's their flair. You know what I mean?
To me, people were like, oh, but it'll be a swerve. We're all expecting Mox to win, but it'll be Danielson. We'll get Danielson and MJF. And my thing is like, yeah, there's something to be said for that, but this is twice in a row. Once they had a face-off, and then tonight it was just MJF cutting a promo on Moxley. He hasn't mentioned Danielson once. Like, the swerve might be nice, but why did you spend all of this time and energy building up a feud between Moxley and MJF if you're never actually going to do that?
Oh, I think they'll eventually do it. I mean,
oh no, but I'm saying but right now, like the momentum is there for this feud this very second, not whenever Mox comes back from his vacation.
Well, I mean, Full Gear is like not that far off. It's less than 2 months. Moxley was supposed to come. Moxley's going to be in Cincy. You know he's going to be at Cincy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what did MJF bring up an awful lot? He brought up Cincinnati an awful lot. Like 2 or 3 different times he brought it up. So he's going to go there. He'll probably get booed by Cincy. We'll see how that goes. But MJF also brings up the fact that he has a stable on retainer. That stable is now named The Firm. And he mentioned Stokely Hathaway and said that he's known Stokely since he was 19. Stokely is his best friend. I can tell you they are legitimately close. Mm-hmm. One of the few people that MJF was talking to throughout his point of frustration before Stokely even came in was Stokely. This is a real thing. Stokely then says that you won't necessarily see these guys together that much. So for everybody saying, another faction, do we really need that? He says, not to pick on you, Brian, but you set me up here. He says, you won't necessarily see us much because whenever MJF needs us, we'll be here. But Ethan Page is going to go for the All-Atlantic title. The Ass Boys are going to go for the tag titles. Lee Moriarty is going to go for the ROH Pure title. I did feel like the setup dragged on a little bit, but when he got to the introductions of each wrestler and the hug of Morrissey was so goddamn funny because Morrissey...
That's a meme that's going to live forever.
Morrissey was going full 05 Tomko there to Christian. Like he didn't want to have any part of it. Like at one point he said, "Love you, big man." And Morrissey didn't say anything. And he's like, "Do you hear me?" Said, "I love you."
I love you.
Said, "I love you." So I felt like a little bit of it dragged, but then when we got to introducing people, we had a mission statement for each one of them. And last week, that's what I wanted. I wanted a description. I wanted an explanation. Why are these guys here? What's their connection to MJF? What are they going after? Why did this happen? And they answered every single one of them. Between MJF and Stokely, they answered everything, Alex. And yeah. I can say this went on a little long. Well, it went on a little long because it did everything that I asked them to do last week. So how can I be mad at that?
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying it went along. It didn't go long for me. I could watch Stokely Hathaway read the entire damn phone book and never be not entertained. Like he's so great. I was watching this thing, was like, my God, think of all the people he could have gotten over in all those years, and they never let him. It's just ridiculous.
If he would have been hired to manage Authors of Pain would still be in WWE right now.
Absolutely. And yeah, and
all due respect to Drake Maverick.
Yeah. It's just anyway. So I really I thought that the setup was fine. And I love the idea of MJF has his on retainer. And yeah, MJF and I are legitimately, he knew that I would be the guy to get everything all set up. That's why I did it. But we got Big Bill here just because Big Bill wants to beat up some people, and that's fine. You need a guy like that. But here's the thing. I saw a lot of people saying Lee Moriarty doesn't have any personality. Well, the guy needs some personality. And look at him there, like the way he was reacting to being in, like he was so different than the other people up there, but it was all perfect. It was like, yeah, that's right. Here I am. He was so great. And I'm go ahead.
Sorry. That's some weird thing that people apply to guys like Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty and Wheeler Yuta. Just because they're young guys that can wrestle, there's this, and because they're smaller, there's this weird like, oh, well, they don't have personality. Well, apparently you don't follow them on Twitter. Apparently you don't pay attention. Apparently you haven't watched them wrestle because, yeah, they do. All of them. They're all very entertaining guys, especially in their own way, especially for the generation that they are a part of. Listen, guys, not everybody watching this show is going to understand the TikTok generation of people. Right. That's why I don't run our TikTok right now because I can't relate to it. But they're going to connect with a certain audience, and it's going to work really, really well. Pavi says, haven't watched WWE or AEW about a year. Watch all the Fightful and Wrestle Talk shows. It wasn't because Mox and Kingston I wouldn't watch. Well, hey, I'm just glad you're watching for any reason, and I greatly appreciate that. Eloquent says Stokely said he was watching Living Single with House of Black. That was good shit, too.
Yeah.
Graham B says Big Show and Kid Rock had a baby named Morrissey. Ben, I thought bad. MJF's best friend was the American roller coaster. What a heel.
So she's so good at it. Man. But I'm super into, because what we have here is Garcia now with the ROH Pure title. Wheeler Yuta wants it back. I mean, I think the end game for all this Garcia and Jericho stuff and Danielson stuff is that Garcia winds up in the BCC, which means we might get some BCC versus the Firm action, which wouldn't be too bad for me. But I also love Moriarty versus Wheeler Yuta, or Moriarty versus Garcia. Those three young technical studs doing some work. That's something I want to watch in that Pure division, man.
Reminder, guys, get in your super chats, get in your Humper Chats. If you don't know what Humper Chats are, we'll go to humperchats.com. Kenneth Love says Gun Club for the tag titles next. That's the Acclaimed right now, but I mean, it would make sense if after the Acclaimed win.
The Acclaimed won, you'd have the Gun Club going after it, sure.
Yeah, of course. Volab says the Firm is there to be a mercenary group. I mean, I like, having like 4 or 5 guys that aren't as big as the APA. Well, Morrissey is, but collectively, okay. And with AEW, you kind of have to have a group that big because you've got stables all over the place, because otherwise the numbers game will catch up to them.
Right.
Jordan Scott says Stokely saying, "You never had a friend like me. I now need him photoshopped or video edited as Genie." Tom LaValle says the Adorn looks solid, but I feel like someone else in there, I think he means the Firm. The Firm looks solid, but I need someone in there to make it viable. Moriarty, Ethan Page in Toronto, why not? Yeah, I would imagine that Ethan Page will get an All-Atlantic title shot in Toronto. That would make an awful lot of sense for me.
Me too.
We got Brent Lockman saying, not to get into it, but Dax is way too low on that list. Even in kayfabe, that's so weird. I can't, you know what? I can't ever make sense of those lists. I stopped even doing match ratings for that reason. Like, they're too subjective and people would look for reasons to be upset. I'll like sort of announce whenever I've got a 10 out of 10 match, and that's about the extent of it. We've got Master Fayez saying, heard anything about ROH rebuilding? I haven't heard anything about a new show as of yet. But, I mean, obviously they're developing the roster. Brent Lockman says, just can't say watching Living Single with House of Black and not have footage of it. You just can't throw that out there. That's what Malachi Black is really doing. He's busy watching watching Overton on Living Single.
Yep.
Zach Schimmel, our good friends, who handed out 200 memberships, $1,000 total, said, sorry it took 2 weeks. Chat every 1,000 likes in a stream, and I'll dish out 10 more. Congrats on 10 and 11,000 on Select. Also, if you decided to, I could create a Fightful Discord for free and manage it for you. We're thinking about it, Zach. We're really thinking about doing the Discord for Fightful Select and seeing how that works, because I want to give people as much as I can for their $5. But thank you, Zach. You have always been so supportive of us.
Yes.
From years ago when we had like 100 subscribers, Zach Schimmel was always so generous to us, and we're still very much publicly funded. CO says, what's the Garcia Moriarty Yuta technical wrestling equivalent of big meaty men slapping meat?
Lean, stretchy lads stretching legs.
Yeah, there you go. Slim boys stretching.
Yeah, there you go. That's some good stuff.
Maybe that. Jesus Christ. I love it. I love it. Ian Hunter says, think maybe Ethan can win the All-Atlantic title in Toronto. I do. Maybe from Orange Cassidy after a short reign there, because I think that could be a good one.
Yeah.
Well, later on, he super kicks Luigi Primo. For those of you who don't know who Luigi Primo is, he is the viral wrestler who was tossing dough. If it wasn't gimmicked dough, then he deserves a full-time contract. But he did this thing where he grappled. As he locked up, he was tossing dough and used it to distract his opponent. It's pure entertainment.
Oh, my God.
But enough people have seen that video to be like, it's him. And then Ethan Page, the heel, takes it away from him.
Yeah.
But Danhausen shows up. So That's happening on Rampage. Cheap plug, because that's happening on Rampage Friday. Sunday, here in Lexington, Kentucky, at the Olika Shriners Temple, Toy Vomit is having Figure Fest, and they will both be there side by side doing meet and greets. So go check that out. Our good friends at Toy Vomit. There's a local muffin maker, way better than Mindy's, that made some Ethan Page and Danhausen muffins.
Awesome.
Or cupcakes. I love it. But if you're in the Lexington area, please check out Figure Fest on Sunday. I got nothing but love for the people at Toy Vomit. Great people. Our friend Maggie Mayhem, Vegan Super Kick, also does great YouTube content. But I'll be there quite a bit that day as well. So come by, come say hi to me if you see me around. But very excited for that. What'd you think of the Danhausen, Luigi Primo, Ethan Page stuff?
Well, listen, I love the show. Bringing Luigi in was really great because there's a certain number of people who popped huge for it. I know I did, and also it's the perfect like I'm the only one who wants to be serious around this place, says Ethan Page. So he gets rid of the gimmick pizza guy, and then I wants to be serious, and in comes Danhausen. It's a perfect transition into it. And Ethan Page gets to be an asshole to Danhausen, and then they have a match on Rampage. It's perfect. Listen, I would like a triple threat personally with Ethan Page added to this Pac and Orange Cassidy thing because I want to see more Pac and Ethan Page. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but that sounds delightful to me. Not that I don't want to see Pac and Orange Cassidy because that's also good. But let's get Ethan Page in there as well. I love the idea that he says, I'm coming for this title. And which to me means that people want the All Atlantic title, which is a thing that is good for that title and good overall for AEW if your titles are all important. I think it's really good.
We've got somebody who I assume is cosplaying. I don't think it's the shoot Luigi Primo, but you know what? We'll pretend it is. He says, first I'm excluded from the Tournament of Champion, and now Ethan Page steals my TV time. I have more dough than everyone in AEW, including TK.
I hope it's the shoot Luigi
I hope
Primo.
it's the shoot version. That'd be great. I mean, we have Thunder Rosa pop up in here occasionally. Rob Wilkins says, we'll watch Dynamite post-show after Clerks 3. Solid. Let me tell you guys, if you have ever watched Clerks 1 and 2 or any of the Jay and Silent Bob movies, anything like that, go out of your way to watch Clerks 3. It's the one of the best movies in that entire line. And there's some really good things. It is a very, very special movie. And now I'm going to do an ad plug for nordvpn.com/Fightful. Alex, damn it, I got the old one up. Here we go. Alex.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Sean?
I could have done better on that segue, right?
You really could have, yes.
You can always do better.
You can always do better.
Like it wasn't seamless whatsoever.
No, not at all.
It's definitely not seamless when you travel across the country and you try to use your TV service.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like, no, you're out of your location. Well, not with nordvpn.com/Fightful. Change your virtual location with just one click. And you might say, Sean, that wasn't seamless either. Well, you know what? When you get nordvpn.com/Fightful, not only do you get a great deal, but you get 4 additional months free, 30 days money back guarantee, online threat protection that blocks online trackers, malware, and annoying pop-up ads. You know that to make your browsing experience seamless. A lot more seamless than saying, here is an ad segue for NordVPN. But you know what? Yeah. You won't have ad segues on Dynamite if you get nordvpn.com/Fightful. You can get AEW Plus. You can go get the WWE Network in Canada. You can get UFC pay-per-views much more affordably, like I just did this past weekend watching that Nate Diaz fight. Mm-hmm. You're going to end up saving more money than what you spend on NordVPN. It's an investment. And not only that, it works on all your devices. They've got multiple tiers, whether you want a VPN, a pass, a locker, or all three.
Why wouldn't you choose all three?
All three. That's the best option, really. Mm-hmm. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Make your browsing experience seamless. Mm-hmm. And Sarah says, weakest segue yet, Sean. I had a greater plan. Chi-Town Spurs says, Mox, I wasn't even supposed to be here today. That's a good shout. That is a very, very good shout. What else we got? Jungle Boy had an open contract. Well, Jack Perry, that is. Jay Lethal answered it via a very obnoxious Sanjay Dutt promo, which I think served its purpose.
Sure.
And then we get Jack Perry defeating Jay Lethal. A nice, effective match that I think went about as long as it should. Jay Lethal gets on TV a lot more than a lot of other people do. So I didn't necessarily need to see this go an extended length amount of time because he's not the one being pushed right now. He's being used to help Jack Perry out. So I thought this worked out pretty well.
Yeah, sure. This is what it was supposed to be. You got to keep Jungle Jack Perry formidable going forward, and therefore, because this isn't done yet with him and Christian and Luchasaurus, he's got to have that Luchasaurus match, a boy versus his dinosaur, for the right to get back to Christian again. And in the meantime, you got to make sure he stays viable. So these are the things. And Jay Lethal right now is the guy who we are putting you in this match because everyone assumes that you are this gatekeeper they have to go through to move forward. That's fine. This is the angle that we have with Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh. That's who they are. They're mid-tier henchmen that you have to get through to get to the boss. That's what they are.
Matthew Plus says Jungle Boy versus Jay Lethal should have been a women's match. Well, I mean, I thought they built that effectively. Maybe they could have set up a TBS title contender here and done this on Rampage.
Yeah.
Justin Roberts did call him Jungle Boy today, though. So I should note that. Pete Norman says, I went to a baseball game, so couldn't watch the show tonight. Here's some money for apples or leather or whatever you people eat. Keep up the great work. Bill says, don't let Kate see this shamble of a segue. What's she going to do? I know what she's going to do. She's going to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com.
Yes.
You can get a bunch of exclusive news there. How about that segue? I don't give a damn what you think about that segue. Just today, we had news on NXT TakeOver Halloween Havoc. We had the list goes on post-show. We had details on several of the Brawl Out participants getting unsuspended. What's going on with Nakazawa and Christopher Daniels? They're in Japan right now. What was planned before? Kenny Omega is in Japan as well. What's up with him? Yesterday we had news that came out that even people that were suspended, the talent, not the coaches and agents, they don't know how long they're suspended. It's unknown. Brandon Cutler cleared to return. We got news on the coaches being back. We had news today on another AEW regular who had signed a contract with the company. Yesterday, we had a bunch of WWE news and notes about Clash at the Castle, that odd finish, the NXT double taping. We had some reactions to the Raw rating. We had the backstage report. I did a live edition for over 40 minutes. We had an update on Jenny. A lot of you were wondering what the hell's up with Jenny after NXT UK closed. She hasn't been on TV. She wasn't Maxine or whatever the hell it was. Maxine Dupree. She wasn't that. She was put in the alumni section. Fightful Select has it. We're going to do an everything we know about the Punk Elite situation article this week. It's going to be a monster. Some of it will be a collection of what we've reported. I'm talking like 3,000-4,000 words. Now, I want to specify this. Very little of that, once the scrum ended, is operating in fact. There's a lot of he said, she said, and I see the criticism over that coverage. People are like, oh, well, it's rumors. Yeah, we're never going to get the full story on that. Ever. Unless they make up, they hug, and they get into a room, and they decide to make the most interesting podcast in wrestling history about it.
Or in case, after the investigation, somebody leaks the actual investigation findings.
Otherwise, there's not going to be a Mitchell report about this.
No.
But hey, guess what, guys? We're a wrestling website. This ain't covering the war. So there's going to be some there's going to be some rumors, and I'm okay with peddling in that. Monday, we had Raw plans. We had some clarification on the Young Bucks sending feelers to WWE. I talked to people close to them that said, no, haven't heard that. and also Sour Graps. That's just since Monday. Just since Monday. How about this? On Thursday, Ask Grapsity. Got Grapsity guys doing a Q&A. Jimmy's doing a Q&A again soon. Fightfulselect.com, just $5. And if you were ever like, well, I don't want to subscribe in the middle of the month because I'll get charged again by Patreon on the 1st. Not anymore. While Patreon was busy firing everybody, apparently, which is stupid and I'm not okay with. They did finally listen to my emails that I've sent them every month for 4 years, and they've got anniversary billing. We are one of the first to ever do it. You will get billed a month from now. So what do you got to lose? As Vince Russo would say, for less than a cappuccino, you can subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Except for us, it's like 16 cents a day. My God.
Yeah.
Announced for exhibition matches: Christopher Daniels, Riho, Nakazawa, Takeshita, Yuka Sakazaki, Maki Ito, Chris Brooks, Hikari Hua. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, and I don't want to butcher it. But I mean, that would indicate that Christopher Daniels and Michael Nakazawa are also unsuspended. Yeah. So great news. Great news. Distry says, the thought of Kenny playing Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection with Nakazawa and Ibushi is a sign that everything is well. Make the best of a bad time. Yes, and always make the best of the time that you have with people. That's for sure. I mean, Kenny doesn't get to see Ibushi very much, so.
Yeah.
Training video of Action Bronson and Hook. I thought this was really well done. I wondered how the hell Action Bronson would come across. I thought this was really good.
I love Action Bronson is like Hook's like big, like protective older brother.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is New York. You come to here, you mess with us, we're gonna pop you right in the mouth. Like it's perfect.
This is dope. This is great. Action Bronson is the most New York human being ever.
He's so is.
Hobbs murders Matt DiMartino, who got a quick hometown pop, but Hobbs spine busted him so hard that he busted his own mouth.
It's so true.
He did. And then he said, I'm moving on from Ricky Starks. Well, Ricky Starks isn't cool with that. He comes out, runs him off. Hobbs getting that push, getting that squash. This was exactly what this match needed to be. We hear from Hobbs. Too many people are like, get Hobbs a mouthpiece. Hobbs doesn't need a mouthpiece. Hobbs can talk just fine. Hobbs is really good. Hobbs is a big bad son of a bitch, and he knows it, and he's as confident as a big bad son of a bitch should be. Yes. And so is Ricky Starks, but Ricky Starks ain't playing. He's embarrassed that he lost in 4 minutes after talking about being a main eventer and wanting to be a main eventer and having Hobbs saying, you're okay with losing, and I'm going to make you lose. Everything Hobbs has said so far is true, and Ricky Starks is kind of having to confront this criticism head on. I think this is really good. It's a very subtle story they're telling in that way, but I think this is one of the better stories they got going right now.
Absolutely. It was always going to be a long story. Their breakup was never going to be one and done. So yeah, there's more story to tell here. Ricky Starks is pissed.
And Ricky said he wanted to beat him up a bunch of times. So
we're getting the match again, and then we're going to get the match again, and we might get the match again. Yeah. But every time they're going to be different. Like there's going to be a match in there, probably the second one, where Ricky Starks catches Will Hobbs unawares and gets a quick pinfall. And then there you go. You're even up at 1 apiece, and each guy won quickly. And then you get the long match. And that'll be a great piece of art when they finally get that done.
Follow-up says, also, Hobbs having the Cody Vader money lift. Hobbs is money. I agree. He should have that.
Yeah.
Volab says it's almost like Kenny got the vacation Mox was supposed to have. Well, Kenny was always scheduled for this. They announced Tokyo Game Show and AEW's presence, which Fightful Select reported on. But we had also reported on Fightful Select that Kenny Omega was always scheduled to go there. Why wouldn't he just go there now? But yeah, I hope he's enjoying his time over there. I mean, again, we know how close he and Ibushi were. And again, spend the time with the ones that you love when you can, because you just never know these days. And Ibushi hasn't been wrestling. So it's good to see them getting to spend some time together and play an awesome game, contrary to what Jimmy says. Mm-hmm. Matthew Plus says, money for Al's muted rage at Tony's women's booking. I'm confused by that one, but
that is because my stream when I started it was right after the finish of the women's match, which I did not appreciate.
Oh.
And so I went off on it, but I didn't realize I was muted at the time.
I do that to myself all the time. Please check out Alex's YouTube channel as well, guys. But Swerve and Our Glory defeated the Lucha Brothers. Again, this is champions losing. I'm going to look at the rankings right now because I don't know where Lucha Brothers sat. But, okay, they weren't in the top 5. So I'm sitting here saying, why the hell are they getting a tag title shot on this, especially when they're trios champions? Mm-hmm. What point does that serve? Was the match good? Match was great. Swerve was incredible. Match. Keith Lee was incredible. The Lucha Brothers were incredible. You know it's going to be great. Swerve is on like such a different level of setting this off. Like I can't possibly understate his importance in not just this, but helping get the Acclaimed over to a massive degree. That is Swerve like putting in that work right there.
Yes. Here's why. Here's why they're doing it. They did it tonight. Because there's never going to be another chance to do this match. Because the Acclaimed, losing to the Acclaimed is going to break up Keith Lee and Swerve. And I can guarantee you Keith Lee and Swerve were like, okay, fine, we're going to have a short tag title reign. We agree. It's time to strike while the iron's hot, put the belts on the Acclaimed. They'll never be more over than they are right now. But if we're going to lose the title belts and then split up, which seems to be something that's going to happen pretty soon as well, we want to have at least one banger with one of these top AEW tag teams.
That's a fair point. I mean, and from a kayfabe perspective, I would have loved them to have made sense. Like
me too. And honestly,
they open contract, deadly draw, something.
They change those rankings all the time. Like if you had looked it up and they had been number 4, you never would have known that that's
a fair point.
You know what I mean? So here's the deal: the match was amazing, and because it looks like they're not defending the trios titles anytime soon, but Swerve and Lee are defending the tag titles next week, I'll always go for a clean finish over shenanigans.
Yeah.
And so I'm totally fine with Keith Lee and Swerve winning, because I'm not totally fine with it, but I get it. Certainly more than what happened later with Toni Storm. This, to me, was a really good match. Swerve didn't cheat, but he did the underhanded thing a little bit by knocking Phoenix off the top rope. That's not cheating. It's within the rules, but it's a little underhanded to win the match that way. And that feeds into who Swerve is. It helps to build that character even more. I think this is all really great. Plus, I got to see Killshot versus Phoenix and Penta Penta Dark again, which I love from my Lucha Underground days.
Of course. Johan says, fantastic tag match. Swerve and Lee should win next week. They stumbled across a great way to have them turn heel. Use it and have FTR win it full gear. I think you got to ride with the hot hand with the Acclaimed, and I think that whether or not FTR are baby faces, heels, or whatever, they have a legit gripe in kayfabe and in reality. Why the hell aren't they getting title shots?
Yeah.
Goth Style Pile Driver says, can you use your AEW contacts to confirm whether or not Ray Phoenix is wearing a cup tonight? I have a bet going on with my fiance. No, I cannot. Eloquent says, I've long defended the ranking system and I love the match, but the Lucha Brothers getting a title shot made no sense. I need to look at, I'm going to pull that up right now, like their cage match, like how they performed lately. So they beat Best Friends in the trios match. That's fine. They lost in the trios tournament, but as far as a 2-1-2 tag team, they last faced, they lost to LFI in their last match in a tornado tag match. So kayfabe, LFI's probably got to be pissy too.
I think if it hadn't been a tag title match, but an exhibition, champions versus champions, no titles on the line.
Yes.
Then that's fine. And then it doesn't matter who gets pinned, but you want Keith and Swerve to come out of this stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it. And
Tom
yes,
LaValle
that was an amazing
says,
spot.
Tom Lavalley says, I've never seen anybody break up a pin with a lawn dart. That was very
He
cool.
tossed Phoenix back into the ring from the outside between the first and second ropes to break up a pin. Jesus, that was great.
Lord Zypher says, do you think the Trios champ should be unable to challenge for the tag titles and vice versa? Swerve and Our Glory beating the Lucha Brothers kind of cheapens these brand new titles. I wouldn't mind if it was an unwritten rule, but it's pro wrestling, so you got to adjust.
Yeah.
Joey Bag of Donuts says the Acclaim got over organically, and it's awesome to see. Man, I was saying this for months. Like they're like the New Age Outlaws. Before they even hit the ring, they have like 5 things that get them over. Yep. Scissor Me Daddy Ass, Name in the City, the rap, all like the Acclaimed have arrived. They got like 4 or 5 different things. It's been 20 years, and they are the closest to the magic.
Boombox was over when he was coming carrying that to the ring all the time.
There you go. I mean, it's been 20 years since the New Age Outlaws kind of set a template of how a team could get over before they even hit the ring, and that's half the battle, is making people care about you. Brent Lockman says Max being so mad he doesn't rap was awesome. And CO says feels like they missed the right time to belt the Acclaim. Putting the titles on them now feels like a make good at this point. I think this was the plan to begin with. I mean, that's what Will Washington had indicated on Rhapsody. And I mean, he's Swerve's cousin. I think I think he might know, but
no. I mean, like, I'm not doubting his reporting. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, that's interesting to me because it did feel like
the way he told it was that it was supposed to feature Lee sort of being like, "Why are you doing the scissoring with Billy Gunn type of thing?" But I mean, also they could have done that in a segment literally whenever.
But I will say this: that match at Grand Slam has a lot to live up to.
Oh, it sure does.
That match at All Out was one of the best tag matches I've ever seen. One of the hottest crowds for any match, tag, singles, triple threat, whatever, that I've ever seen. So whatever they do at Grand Slam's got to match that kind of momentum.
The crowd next week,
or it's not going to feel like it, you know?
The crowd next week, it'll be a bigger crowd. It might be a louder crowd. It'll be a less tired crowd. Like, there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah.
Brent Lockman says Lee taking a destroyer was not on the bingo card. Oh, it was on my AEW bingo card at some point, for sure.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
Nicholas Starhart says Mox shouldn't feel bad about not making the PWI's top 10. Check the list and somehow ranked at negative pi. Lee Moriarty chained out of the same wrestling school I train out of, and excited by the thought of him winning the pure title. I mean, you're at a good place if you're at the place that trained that guy, because he is one of the best.
He's so good.
Sawyer said, has anyone checked on Pac? He died, or he didn't die, did he? Well, Orange Cassidy punched him in the face, said that he was about to lose the All-Atlantic title. That's happening soon.
Yeah. I mean, I did enjoy just the way that Pac was so dismissive to Marvez.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing talking to me like that? And it's great. I love it. I think it's really good. I thought it was going to be Paige that attacked Pac, because that seems like the kind of guy to do it. Orange Cassidy doing it seemed like, okay, I guess so. Just felt like kind of out of left field for him to do that kind of way. Him challenging by walking up and being like, hey, I'm going to take that title from you, seems more like his style than attacking him when he's not looking.
Yeah. Somebody says it's at Grand Slam, Sean. Okay, cool. That's what I pretty much figured. Yeah. We got the Smart Mark Sterling and Josh Woods promo. I hope that Woods and Joe get time, because I think Josh Woods will surprise a lot of people that haven't seen him work. But I like that. We got Matt Hardy versus Darby. Matt Hardy playing off of their history in the past. We got Penelope and Willow for Rampage. I like these additions. I wish they would add some semblance of a story to Penelope and Willow and any women, really.
I mean, it would be interesting if they did like the women, like here's a group of women, okay? And across Dark, Elevation, Rampage, Dynamite, whenever they get time, we're doing basically a round robin tournament. Everybody faces each other. We move on. You see who's near the top at the end of this thing. The 2 top competitors face each other one last time, and the winner of that gets Jade. Something like that, because I would love to see this, but we've seen Willow and get title shots against Jade, but this doesn't seem to be a story we're doing right now. If it were me, you gotta give Willow the friggin' graphic and then have Willow signed and go after Jade or something. I don't know what we're doing, but this is it would be nice to have a story.
Shave some of the needless stuff off and just add some character where you need it.
Yep.
If you want to shave some of the needless stuff off, our friends at harrys.com/Fightful have you covered. Right now, you can get a Harry starter set for only $3. When you go to the store and buy razors, it's an experience. You gotta go find the razor you want. You gotta go get a clerk. You gotta have the clerk unlock everything. The clerk's gonna dig around. Is this the right one? Is this the right one? Then you look and you're like, oh wait, that's a bar, or that's just a handle with one razor. I need a lot more than one. Well, you know what? Harrys.com/Fightful has the starter set for just $3. Plus, you get a travel size body wash. This set includes a 5-blade razor, a weighted handle to help you out, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover. $16 value for just $3 at harrys.com/Fightful. When time is a commodity, you don't need a 5-step shaving routine. With Harry's, you have everything you need for a great shave. Nothing but that. Their blades are made in their own factory in Germany, hold up better than ever. Guys who try it say that their 8th shave is as sharp as their first. Tons of great reviews for harrys.com/Fightful. Get a high quality shave with a high quality razor. Thanks to harrys.com/Fightful. Love working with them. Love working with products I actually use, which is what we do here at Fightful. We have Terry Allen Jr. saying, Sonny Kiss, we need on TV. Very talented. Yep, I hope we see more of Sonny Kiss. Mm-hmm. But Dante says, hate to see Toni Storm eating pins as champ. Me too, especially as interim champ. So they're setting up the Fatal 4-Way for the women's title at Grand Slam, and I'm like, okay, so you just did a Fatal 4-Way. After not doing one forever, then you do them back to back. And then you change an ingredient. I'm like, damn. So there was a story to this, though. Jamie Hayter has not talked to Britt Baker since All Out. So we are getting story here. Britt, first off, she walloped Athena with a super kick. It was great. But they end up getting the win, pinning Toni Storm. Then afterwards, we get the beatdown, and Jamie Hayter ends up hitting Toni Storm with a chair, but still won't talk to Britt Baker. I do appreciate that they're adding a bit of a story to this, but it feels like, well, you just did the Fatal 4-Way, and this does feel like it's like, okay, so we didn't make the right calls necessarily at the Pape, so maybe we'll change things up here on Grand Slam. Alex, you don't seem thrilled.
I don't understand. It's just, why would you book it this way? The idea that you have Toni, Hikaru Shida can't do it for whatever reason. They write her out of it. They write Athena in. You bury the ref again. The ref doesn't see the obvious, huge, takes us so forever to set up Serena Deeb running Storm into the chair, into the corner. The ref doesn't see it because the ref's an idiot. Bury the ref, why don't you, as well? And then you pin Toni Storm, who's your brand new interim champion. That doesn't look good. That doesn't make the division look good. And then you have Athena come in. She's pissed as well. She should be. So she takes out Serena Deeb. Britt Baker, as you say, hits her in the face with a super kick. Then she gets the chair. And Jamie Hayter runs down. It's like, oh, if all of this was in service of Jamie Hayter grabbing the title, the chair from Britt, and at least threatening to hit her, if not actually hitting her, and turning babyface in this moment, if this was all in service of that, fine. But instead,
maybe even fake it, and Britt flinches, and then she reacts to the chair shot on somebody else.
Right. But she hits Toni Storm with it. But it doesn't mean that she's still with Britt. She just hates Britt still, won't talk to her, but she still hit Toni. So Toni looks even worse because she's getting beaten down by people. All of this is just, and then they're saying, oh, well, we now Tony Khan just made official. He made it official 12 seconds after the beatdown. Like, if this was your plan from the beginning, like, figure out a way of doing that so it's not right here, right now. This 4-way is going to be really good, but it just feels like you're trying to do way too much in the weirdest way possible. And I was not a fan at all of Toni Storm being put in the position of being your new interim champ, somebody that we're supposed to think is on the level of Thunder Rosa whenever Thunder Rosa comes back, but you're pinning her in cheap ways, in meaningless tag matches, while also burying your referee. It's just a dumb way to do all of that.
Yep, I can't disagree with that at all. I was shocked that we saw two sets of champions or two champions get pinned on the same show. I think too much of that, especially in one show, is a little much. If Angelina says putting 4 women in one match instead of having 2 matches is cheating, Tony, we could have held off on the Jungle Boy storyline for another week. Not even another week, 2 more days. We could have held off on that. Sawyer says Athena should have beat Jade at All Out. They've run out of built-up potential challengers unless Hayter goes for it after turning face. I don't think Athena should have beaten Jade. I don't think Athena was hot enough with the crowd to beat Jade. Nope. And right now, if somebody's going to beat Jade, it needs to be somebody that is undeniable, or you just keep having Jade win until you find that person that is the right person. And I think that Athena is great.
Right. But this is the thing that I was talking about. Is like, it looks like she's been saying 50-0, 50-0.
Yeah.
She's 37-0. How often does she wrestle title matches, Sean? That means she's going to be, I mean, at the most, like, it's twice a month at most. Yeah. So she's going to be still be champ for another 6 months to a year plus. That's a long time of just the status quo in half of your women's division. That's just a long time.
Nerd Guru says 2 champions being pinned in one night doesn't sit well with me, but particularly the women's. None of that shit made any sense. Deeb pinning Toni 10 days after winning the women's title is so stupid. The 4-way is even dumber. Athena just lost. Britt lost too. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Why not Serena versus Toni in that sense? Yeah. Lasagna Dabby says back-to-back matches where a champion was crowned less than 10 days ago takes a pin. Orange Cassidy suddenly sucker punches people. I thought Vince wasn't booking wrestling anymore. I don't have a problem in the world with Orange Cassidy sucker punching somebody. Not a bit, but the pinning people that just won the title. Yeah, I think that ideally isn't the best way to go about this. That's something that I would have probably avoided. Brent Lockman says, is Mercedes Martinez hurt? Haven't seen her in forever. Yes, she is injured.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson defeated Chris Jericho, and I mean, considering how we had to get here, Danielson, I think, had to beat Jericho, or Jericho would have had to have been his first challenger after maybe winning the title, because Jericho just beat Danielson. Now, does this render a lot of what happened at All Out pointless? Maybe a little bit, but they could not have possibly predicted torn triceps, brawl out, all the suspensions, all that.
No.
This, I thought, told a fantastic story of Bryan Danielson's leg being hurt to the point where he couldn't do the flying knee. Oh, Jericho's chest got beat to shit to where people were saying, did he tear his pec? No, he just got the shit knocked out of him over and over again. And then afterwards, we get the 2 BCC members staring at each other, and we've got as big of a TV main event as we've seen for AEW. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Jon Moxley, who is, besides CM Punk, AEW's biggest draw from a metric standpoint. Bryan Danielson, a WrestleMania main eventer.
Yeah.
This is it. And Jericho has been given so much credit by people that I've talked to about being a locker room leader, especially over the past month. So, I mean, I think that this was another big part of it. And you know what? If you want to have a talent meeting and you don't want the information to leak, you have those 3 guys lead it. And that's what happened. Because last week when that talent meeting happened, I'll tell you what usually happens. When, for example, when NXT held a talent meeting during the pandemic and they said, don't leak to the dirt sheets. By the way, you're responsible for your own medical coverage. They said, wait, you're going to remind me that I'm an independent contractor, but tell me who I'm not allowed to talk to.
Yeah.
Well, just say, thanks, NXT. You got me a half dozen sources that day.
Yeah.
But when Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Chris Jericho handle a talent meeting, then forego their vacation, then go and beat the shit out of each other on TV, and they say, hey, let's keep our dirty laundry in-house. Well, you can't look at these guys and say they can't run a Target. You can't say they've never done anything. They've never been anywhere, because they've run ROH and AEW and New Japan and WWE, and one of them's been in WCW. So, I mean, there's not a lot these guys haven't done. The way that these three guys stepped up in the various ways, from the talent meeting to leading by example, the way that Jericho did at that scrum, to Moxley forgoing his vacation, I cannot possibly underscore how important that is in a number of ways. And I thought that this tied it all together, and it's about to get a big fat bow put on it next week.
Yeah, this was great. I think Jericho held up his end of the bargain, certainly, but to me, this match was all about Danielson and the way he likes to tell stories. Danielson is the absolute greatest at making you believe he is seriously injured when he is not. I'm convinced he trolls us with that.
He does. He's very good.
He knows that we have so much concern for him, and he knows it'll work.
Sorry to interrupt. I would always say he would get barely knocked off the apron. He'd hold his neck, or do something with his head, or start shaking he was convulsing. We're like, you son of a bitch.
And also this thing about Danielson is that when he hurt his leg, the way that he did it was via his own mistake. He tried to suplex Jericho from the outside in, which is not a move that Danielson does. Yeah. That's not a thing he does, but he tried it. And because he tried it, he got suplexed from the inside out and landed badly. That was his own mistake. His own hubris led him to have that potential injury, which is great because he likes booking himself to be a flawed wrestler every now and then, because he knows that guy is more interesting as a character than the greatest technical wrestler to have ever lived is a superhero with no flaws. But this guy is a flawed human being who sometimes gets ahead of himself in matches, and Danielson loves to put things in there like that. And also, with the way he was working over his leg, either Danielson comes back from this thing that he can't come back from, his horrible injury, who's Jericho is a smart enough guy to work on the leg the whole time, which he does. So either he comes back from it somehow and wins, or it's a perfect reason why Danielson loses the match to Jericho. And he books himself into matches with a choose your own adventure built into it. Where if this thing happens, then either of these branching things can happen. And when you go down this path, there are all these other branching things you can do. He's a master at telling stories in the ring. It's why he is one of the very best to ever do it, if not the best to ever do it. And I love the way he finished with the label lock, where he cranked back on the nose before then locking it even deeper. That was some great shit. I'm so excited for Mox versus Danielson. It is the biggest match that I think they could put on in this place with the people they have out in Grand Slam for the biggest crowd. Danielson versus Mox is the biggest match they possibly could do. And I think this is fine. I still think Moxley is winning the match because of all the legwork they put in to already have that story ready and in the can for MJF versus Mox. That's what I think. But I think the match is going to be amazing.
Jericho getting his flowers. Michael Key saying, Jericho life, yo. Brent Lockman says, I swear he's a walking ad for DDP Yoga. He's about to be 52, and he's still having pay-per-view level main event matches. He's better now than he was a year ago. He's better now than when he was during his title reign, which is very, very impressive, because about a year and a half ago, I was like, is he going to start wrapping it up? And then he got in incredible shape, and he's having some of the best matches he's ever had. Jordan says, with Jericho beaten, are we done with BCC versus Yas, please? Yeah, I think so. I think with the two matches that we saw tonight. Vault Boy says, so excited AEW is coming to the Pacific Northwest for the first time in January. Suddenly, I think Bryan Danielson might be the favorite to win at Grand Slam. I don't doubt that he might come back and eventually win the title or something, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I do think that Moxley, like when Bret Hart was like the 5-time WWF champion, like that was a big thing. When Razor was a 4-time Intercontinental champion, that was a big thing. Titles change a lot less often maybe not the last month or two in AEW, but in general. I think back to when Tony bragged before All Out and he's like, we're about to have the strongest roster we've ever had. And then he loses 4 of the biggest names. Yes. And by the way, the Undisputed Era is gone too, effectively, because you got those. And by the way, Malachi Black is gone too. Yep. So it was such a swing from him thinking that he had the strongest roster to being like, I'm going to have to make some shit work. Oh, and by the way, Thunder Rosa's sidelined as well. Ruby Soho just got sidelined. It is a rough situation. James says, what if AEW does Bryan Danielson versus Miro at Full Gear? I don't think they'll do that. They've been there before. I think they'll probably go with something else if they even know.
Right.
We got a Twitch bit from the official Misfit who said, who let Lars Ulrich from Metallica in the crowd with the CM Punk sign?
Like the way they had that whole thing perfectly framed of Moxley and Danielson facing off with that guy right between them with the sign.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats. We are heading down the home stretch, my friends. We've got Bill saying, get your scrumptious buttercups ready for Regal. And Sawyer says, Moxley just beat a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. Will Danielson be the second? I think so. I think he will. But also they could play a good story of Danielson beating him one-legged as well. Jordan says, playing off Daniel's history at Grand Slam, I don't know, but do you think they'll do a double KO or a draw? No, they've got to create a champion.
They got to have a new champion there. And I mean, like MJF keeps using the language of, I'm going to cash in my chip. I'm going to cash it in. And we're so used to that being the Money in the Bank briefcase being cashed in. I don't think that it is a instantaneous, anytime I want, just bring a ref down and give him the chip and I get to pin the guy. So we'll see where it actually ends up. It's too big of a moment. MJF beating Jon Moxley or Bryan Danielson. It's too big of a moment for them to not try and book it in a way either to pay-per-view to get buys or to have all eyes possible on the match itself on an episode of Dynamite. So I think they'll build to something. But I would be shocked to see it go any longer than December. Winter is coming, or whatever they call that, which is in Nassau County, Long Island.
Irene says, Bryan beating Mox to finally get his world title run and allow Mox to go on vacation makes sense. Would you build up to a Mox MJF feud without the title? Yeah, I mean, I would, because MJF is pissed completely separate of that. Also, I think there's like some good trolling that Danielson can do, like I'm about to send you on your vacation type of thing. Mm-hmm. That can work there. I think MJF can make a feud with Moxley without the title work. And maybe it be at Full Gear, but goddamn, Moxley's got to be there for the Cincy show. Yeah. Tom LaValle says this is for the mods. They are the bosses here. Big thank you to Luis for doing the great mod work, as well as Zach Schimmel and other people who are moderating right now. Far 5 says MJF versus Moxley at Full Gear. MJF pushing his agenda until February when he faces Bryan at Revolution for the world title. I think it'd probably be at Winter is Coming. When are they in Long Island again?
That's Winter is Coming. As far as I know, they're Long Island for Winter is Coming. But what I'm saying is that you could have MJF win the title from Moxley early here, if Full Gear, if not earlier than that. If you want to push it to Winter is Coming, do it then. But you could then do Danielson versus MJF, with MJF being the champion at Revolution. That would be a huge match for them.
Yeah, I don't think that they've officially announced Winter is Coming 2022, but they have announced that what will be a few weeks after that is Bryan Danielson's hometown, so that's going to be interesting too. Patrick says perhaps Mox gets kayfabe injured, so he gets to have a vacation. Kingston replaces him. Wins get the hometown pop. MJF Kingston. Nope. Not doing that. I think that it should have been Moxley, or I think Kingston should have been in this situation to begin with.
Yes.
But I don't think that that's going to happen now.
No,
I mean, yeah.
It is kind of odd to have Kingston nowhere to be seen in this particular picture for Grand Slam. Like that should be kind of against the rules. I think Kingston's got to have a big match there, right?
Matthew says, you all think pressing so hard on MJF Moxley and giving Bryan an injury spoils the finals of the tournament too much? Don't we want more uncertainty? Predictable isn't bad if it's good, and not always. I don't always need uncertainty. And again, I don't know I don't know what's gonna happen there. I don't know necessarily.
I still think that there is that it's almost certainly going to be Moxley, and yet while watching that match next week, I guarantee you they're going to sell me a ticket, Bryan winning 4 or 5 times, because they know exactly what they're doing of how to structure the match to create doubt within it, and that's key.
Misfit says, what if AEW doesn't put the title on MJF? Just a thought. Oh, he's getting that title. He's getting that title. It's going to happen.
100%.
And he says, Jamie Hayter to beat Jade Cargill. Maybe, but I think right now she's a future world champion. I think that's the role. But guys, please leave a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate you guys doing that. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com, just $5. So if you're sending super chats here and you don't subscribe to FightfulSelect.com, you're missing out, because I do a Q&A show every week. There's Ask Rhapsody. There's a lot over there, so please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Jim City Vinny says, didn't Jay White cut a promo in Kingston? Yes, but Kenny cut one on Osprey 2 months before he was coming back. Right. Alex, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on the Twitter at Alex Sour Graps. You can find me on Fightful Select doing the Sour Graps show, talking about Raw, SmackDown. Tuesdays, now NXT 3.0, NXT White and Gold, which should be really interesting going forward. So yeah, we're looking forward to whatever the heck happens over there, but that's a lot of fun. Also, my own personal YouTube channel. You'll find it at Alex Sour Graps, all one word. And I do watch-alongs of the final hour of Raw, the main event of Dynamite. We have one tonight, and also every episode of Rampage. Watch along to get over there. And also, I do gaming streams. We're doing a series right now of The Last of Us. Just finished part 1, and then we're going to jump into part 2 very soon. So come over and hang out if you like gaming as well as wrestling.
Guys, thank you so much. Brian says, I know it's not a super chat, but where do you get a lot of your shirts? Help a boy out, please. Anywhere that I can find stuff like Mickey Mouse dunking a basketball or Garfield playing tennis. I go anywhere. These two aren't vintage, but I do go to a lot of vintage stores and stuff like that. DNC says, thanks for reading my Clash press conference notes. Thanks for everything you guys do. And congrats on 11K. See you on your show, Alex. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thanks.
Until next time, we're out.